Hey guys, hope everyone is having a wonderful day. And once again, welcome to my channel, Knowledge Central. And yeah, this is my very first video on the concepts of data science, different tools, different ideas, different concepts, algorithms related to mostly data engineering, data analysis, and also data scientists can also apply a few of the ideas and algorithms. So let's get started. And in this video or the playlist I'm going to start mostly deals with uh, Databricks and how to do your ETL operations like extract, transform, load, and a lot of other automations through Databricks, just Microsoft Azure product. So let's quickly get into the introduction of what Databricks is. And in this video, I'll quickly demonstrate the different elements of the workspace. So I'll quickly share my screen and without wasting any time, let's get started. So yeah, here we are. As you can see in the screen, we are in the Databricks workspace. And how to get here? It's very simple. The important prerequisites here are having a basic idea of Data Factory and how Data Factory works. So this is the portal, the Azure Data Factory portal, and we have an account. And the whole idea is to create a Databricks workspace here. So we just simply type Databricks in the search bar, and you'll be getting into a section, and then you create a click. And in this video, I'm not going to focus on how to create resources, but it's very simple. You click a create and fill in all the details. And of course, we might also have a free version available, a free trial version to test it. But the version which I'm having is currently paid, and we can get into a little bit of pricing and other stuff in the main portal. So once you create Databricks, you can go into that resource or service and then click launch workspace. So once you create this Databricks service, you just click launch workspace, and then it gets you to this cloud service, or it's functioning in the cloud. So we'll be in the Databricks workspace. So it's a beautiful environment to automate your ETL processes and to create notebooks, codes, algorithms, which can be pulled across different APIs, and you can leverage wonderful resources and virtual machines through Databricks. So this is a very basic introduction. So I won't be going into detail on few things, especially a very basic introduction of the UI. There can be a lot more details in the UI. Maybe we can do another video or advanced introduction in the workspace. So the first and foremost thing is you will be able to see your user credentials here in the left bottom panel. So once you log in, you can go to your user settings, admin console, and manage your account through these things. And in your user settings, there won't be a lot of information, but you can create something called as access token to give access to different APIs, say, for example, Azure DevOps or another service in Databricks, and you can integrate it through Git and have version control. And I'll be telling about notebooks in a while. And then it is also coming up with a lot of other languages. For now, it's 5 to 7 languages. And of course, it's always improving. So yeah, and most of my videos, or in fact, all my videos are in English. So let's put it that way. And the best part is you can also go into the admin console. Currently, I am one of the admins with the other people, but you can add users, or you can create groups where you can access the resources together and get some global init scripts as well. So for now, it's not there, but these are all the tools which might be useful in the further videos, which will be placed in this playlist or in the other videos. So just to have an idea about the elements and things. So one of the first things which you will do is to create a notebook. right? And before creating a notebook, I can quickly brush through the elements in the left panel here. So this gets you to the home. So this is like the home button where you can do a lot of activities, very quick activities like import data, import CSV or Parquet files and quickly analyze, or create a notebook in a very short way. And then your recently accessed resources and other blog posts from Databricks, etc. And then here in Databricks, one of the best part is it can be used for data science professionals, as well as it has a special UI for machine learning engineers as well. So if you click this drop down, currently we are in the data science and engineering part, but we can also leverage machine learning and leverage some advanced clusters of machine learning, etc. And then we have notebooks. Here's where we create notebooks. I have notebooks created. So in order to create some notebooks, you go into this section, workspace, create notebook, right? And to get a little deeper into the elements of the notebook, is, of course, once you give a name, you can set your default language, Python or SQL Scala, whichever you're comfortable with. And another important thing to notice here is, even though if you have a default language as Python, I can also type SQL codes in the notebook, which is a cool part. And here you'll be seeing cluster. And I think few of us probably would be last year assuming what exactly is a cluster. This is a new term which I've not heard before. What is it exactly? So in order to leverage or use Databricks notebook, of course, it needs a virtual machine, right? It needs a server, it needs the capacity to pull in data, to do some computations and push in data. And Databricks also uses Apache, which uses distributed systems to, run the computations. So I'm using a little bit of lighter terms and not heavier, complicated terms because it's a very basic introductory video. We can go into the distributed computing later in further videos. So the cluster is a very important part in order to run a notebook, right? So let's say this is a test, basic test or test intro, right? Yeah. Once I create, you'll be having this notebook here. And before running a notebook, of course, I need to attach any notebook in Databricks to a cluster. And this is where the cluster comes in. And where do you create a cluster is here in the cluster panel or the compute panel. They do keep changing their names and they keep updating their UI. So for leveraging or using this notebook, we go into compute and then create this cluster. Right? There's a cluster which I've already created, old cluster. So again, it kind of needs a lot of details, what type of cluster, because each cluster has a variation of the Apache Spark and the Scala version. It's very important. In order to run a particular set of jobs, you need a certain type of cluster. And we have the same version cluster with ML addition as well. So if you want to run ML jobs, you need to have a cluster which says 9.1 ML, right? And it enables auto scaling because if it's a short job, it's going to take, for example, one worker node, as mentioned here. For the bigger job, it's going to take 2 worker nodes, and this can be modified as well. You can set in minimum worker nodes as 2 and maximum worker nodes as 8, depending on the job which you're running. Very important. And finally, worker type. Again, I need to, I think, make a separate video on the worker types because different worker types are for different purposes. So here, it's for small jobs since it has a very less memory and lesser number of cores. Sorry. And it also costs little lesser compared to the other clusters. So DBU is Databricks unit per hour. And depending on the job, you'll be, depending on the cluster, the worker type, or the driver type, you'll be cost more. So this is something which is very important for cost optimization, which you might need to go into the Databricks documentation on the pricing page and then clearly check, okay, this is the driver I might require. This is worth getting this type of driver, and then gonna do some work, heavy workloads, or light workloads, etc. Maybe I'll be getting into other elements of, say, for example, libraries and Spark UIs and driver logs, which are really nice and crucial in order to check a proper optimized usage of Databricks, right? Because it's not free. And especially if you want to push something from development to production and you want to keep running it for a lot of times, you need to make sure that it's cost optimized. I'll make a video on that or in later stages. So once you create this cluster, it'll be up and running and you can get back to your notebook again. And the first and foremost thing you do is start the cluster, which is going to take at least 2 minutes. So I'm not going to start now, but I'll just let you know the other elements here. And then maybe we can have another video on a little bit more in quotes, but this is just about the user interface. So I'm not going into detail. So this is exactly similar to Jupyter notebooks if you have used before. Otherwise, also it's fine. And if in case you want to decide to change the language, you can do it here. Okay, I want to go to SQL, Scala, or pretty user-friendly. And then you can start typing it, whatever you want. Right? You can start importing libraries, you can import pandas, numpy, do the calculations you want, plot different graphs. And for running the cell, it's two options. You can run everything here, or you can select this, and then run or run the above cells, before cells, etc. You can add comments and a lot of other things. And of course, you can do markdowns. I can make another video on different types of markdowns and the important elements and punctuations, etc. And experiment is, of course, for machine learning. And we have a beautiful feature called machine learning flow, called ML flow, for tracking the metrics, tracking your experiments, version control. I'm really excited that there are a lot of elements which have to be discussed, but I think I should break down into different videos and different playlists, make it more comfortable. This is the notebook, and you can run your ETL jobs here. Once you've done, you can use this notebook and data factory to run automated workflows and schedule triggers, etc. The best part is even this notebook can be triggered, and you can see here called the schedule, where you can schedule when do you want to run this notebook, right? You can click the schedule and then you can put the job name, you can click a time, you can take the cluster and then click create. The best part is the Databricks or the data factory services automatically creates a cluster for you when you want to run this job, runs this particular job, and then deletes the cluster. So that's the best part. And maybe I forgot to tell you one thing. If I'm not using this cluster for say 120 minutes, at least for now, it shuts down, right? And this time can be 10 minutes, 20 minutes, because whenever I start the cluster, it costs something because it creates a virtual machine, it creates a server, it creates the RAM, it creates the necessary CPU, GPU. So it's going to cost, and then until it's stopped or terminated, right? And that's the reason I didn't run the cluster here. But maybe in the video where we are working more on the algorithms and code and more of the ETL processes, we can use the cluster and then get a little bit intro on how to use different codes, Python, SQL, and how to leverage both these codes in a single notebook, etc. And then you have workflows, which I've not created right now, but then once you create a job or if you run a job, say, for example, these are the automated jobs it's already done in Data Factory, you can just like check who ran the job and for how long, etc. So I think that's it from the introduction part. It's very easy and nice. You can also import notebooks. You can import IPython notebooks. For example, you can directly import a DBC, a Scala file, a Python file, etc. Right? You can also import an IPython notebook, interactive Python, etc. And then you can import a library. And maybe these are a little advanced. Maybe you can see it in another video. But all in all, I love Databricks Workspace. It's really awesome to do ETL jobs since it leverages Apache Spark at the backend. It can auto scale. It can do simultaneous distributed computing. A lot of benefits of distributed computing over the other types of computing. So it's overall beautiful. And I'm really excited to make further videos, probably an advanced introduction and other videos on basic ETL operations. And then we'll slowly dive into machine learning in the future. So I hope you like the videos, and please let me know what you want to probably learn in the future or specific aspects if it's not clear. If you want me to do a little bit detail video on another thing, please let me know. I'd be happy and glad to. And exactly, please follow this page, like and subscribe, and looking forward to more videos with Databricks and exploring data science field together. Cheers.